Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you must have a very good morning, a valuable and interesting morning, hearing our international experts sharing their new trends, strategies, and how to deal with a more effective and efficient built environment. So now, in the afternoon, we'll try to concentrate on the green buildings and the urban environment. In my situation, I will shift a little bit of a perspective from the international and to the Hong Kong specific. And my topic is soft system essential, innovative assessment standard. Of course, it's a little bit related to being the chairman of the BEAM Society Limited. For our international guests, maybe I would like to introduce that the BEAM is a building environment assessment method, which is a green labeling tool adopted in Hong Kong for about 20 years. So I'm fully aware that the assessment system and the standards have a very important steering effect towards the green building design and constructions in the construction itself, as far as the influence are there. So before I jump into the tools, I have drawn your attention to the overall green buildings and urban development in Hong Kong. So vertical city, Hong Kong is a vertical city. I think everybody will accept that. And according to statistics, we ranked first in the high-rise and skyscraper count. Our land populations is very dense. We are talking about more than 6,500 persons per square kilometer. And particularly in like some very dense Kwun Tong district, we are talking about 55,000 in 1 square kilometers. So how we deal with all this and why we have these kind of cities? We have 1,000 buildings actually built in our metro areas. Actually, they're all likely concentrated in these areas. And 60% of them actually are more than 20 years ago. That means were built before 1990s. You can see that it's difficult to locate a 30-story building in a building cluster like this. So this is the environment. But not many people understand, although we are living in a very dense situation, but this is our land use master plan. All the green colors are actually all conserved green area, but all the wetland, mountain, beach, and so on. We actually are counting 67% of them are leave untouched. We are only developed from this edge to this edge, because they are all beaches and beach and so on, agricultural land. We are only developed 25% of our land. So whether you like it or not, this is our building ecologies. Our buildings are very tall. Why? It's like a forest. We are fighting for the air and the wheel. You know, it sells more in the top levels of those high-rise buildings. Okay, everybody understand. More we go, the more valuable the properties are. This is our situation, okay? But when we say that here's our situation, whether it's good or not, we don't go into detail, just get some very simple benchmarking. These are some data from the World Bank data. The energy use per capita is only 2,000 kilometers of oil equivalents. In compare, our graph is here. It is Hong Kong. This is Hong Kong. We're a bit higher than China. I purposely put Fuji's here, okay? And our United counterpart, Australia, and so on. And this is the carbon emission per capita. We are only 5.53 metric tons. Japan, United States is at this level, talking about 18.57 metric tons. Therefore, seems that we are in a quite good carbon emission arena. But what contributes to that? Then we will have to make sure we treasure those urban contributions. One is our mass transit system. The mass transit system actually is the most well-used one of the most well-used, well-developed transportations in the world. You can see the crowd. I think sometimes it's quite unacceptable to some of the people living here, right? But however, this is the case. And then we have a very extensive system of the bus. But in other way, we have a very treasured, conserved country park. They are just like our back garden, you see. All these buildings are right against all this area. These areas are very open to the general public to enjoy it. And I think many people are actually using those areas for their daily leisures, their recoveries. And one more important thing is, because of the dams, the connections, we have a very extensive bridge linking system. Actually, this is all this system. If you are walking from the waterfront down the Lan Kwai Fong, you have already crossing a field thoroughfare, but you doesn't need to go down to the street at all and continue walking in an air-conditioned space. These are those public passages within private properties. Hong Kong did have a system back to 30 years ago, allowing people to do something. But quite unfortunately, the system is still there. The legislature is still there. But our government, this morning I have a government official here, and some of them have a bit difficulties nowadays to grant all this concession for this public space, afraid that there's collusions between the public and public. But it's a quite pity, because this is a very proven to be very energy efficient within our CBD. Therefore, our CBD communication actually very much rely on this very good networking of bridges. And if anyone would like to enjoy this one, Central is a space. Some of the northern residential also have this one. They're connected to the mass transit area, like the stations, and so that people can be getting into the station in very quick and comfortable conditions. And we also have a escalator taking the people. Sorry, where is it? The escalator taking the people from the lower level of the Hong Kong, for example, in Central, take the people to the mid levels, so that people can transfer using not using public publication. I think there's a very contributive features that keep our Hong Kong carbon emissions in a relatively a bit lower level. But however, some people will challenge, come on, you're low level because you don't have heavy industry here. 80% of our energy are used for our buildings. And therefore, it is a one way to deal with this case. And somebody even challenged, we are not travel by car, but we travel by air. And the air trips we taken outside Hong Kong are not fully accounted in this carbon emission. But however, this is the present situation, okay? So one more thing is our soft system, what we have done and what we can be done. Public education of the green living concept. Nowadays, you see the commercials, news commercials, and they have a lot of advertisement conducted by our government to teach people how to switch off the light, separate their waste, and so on. This is a very continuous green living concept. Our case is because it's city state, very easy, because one television, a few television station can already convey a lot of message. Grooming of the green industry. Government actually have set aside quite a number of funds from all aspects into the cities to grooming the green industries, like the carbon orders and energy orders, and all sort of departments are doing a lot of things for this purpose. But hopefully all these can be grouped together, have a better synergies, so that the move Hong Kong in a better scenario. And the public consultation is already become a very important built environment decisions. I would like to say private initiative. Just like the Beam Limited, we are a non-government organization. Like the last year, we have already accounting about more than 6,000 hours voluntary given by all this expertise in helping to push the green building initiatives. I think this is a very valuable initiative exists in Hong Kong. Last one is the engagement of the green building labeling into a mandatory system. Our green labeling system is voluntary, pure voluntary. We are indirectly put into the mandatory system. How they're doing this? BEAM is a green labeling system actually initiated by private sectors back in 1995. We established a labeling system. We could not push very far. Very little people know what are they. In about more than 10 years' time, nearly 10 years' time, we managed to assess about 100 buildings. But they are mostly commercial, in a higher commercial, more valuable spaces, so that more people are looking into their need. And 204 and 205, we have another versions, and which also help us to identify another 200 projects in about 5 years' time. And the latest one, we call BEAM Plus, another versions, 2010. Only 2 years ago, we have already registered more than 250 projects already. That means more people are getting aware of the need for a assessment in order to ascertain what they have done is right. So we have already issued another version 1.2, introducing 2.12. The special of this one is we putting passive design into the scope. Because we, in Hong Kong situation, we found that if we can utilize the natural resources, sun, light, wind, to reduce our mechanical energy engagement, then it will be a positive add to us. Okay, so we are encouraging more credits on the spatial planning, building orientation, daylight, solar uses, and so on, and building fabrics. So so then we have this system was now undertaken, certified by GBC, and assessed by BEAM Society. And how they put into the mandatory system in the Hong Kong situation, if you're providing some special green features, government allows you to have 10% GFA concession, because GFA in Hong Kong is very valuable. So that it is put into the system. And although it's still a mandatory, but if you carry the test, carry the certification, then you can have this 10% for your green features, only for the green features. So, like the BEAM system, like all the international standards, I think this morning you have been discussing the DGNB of Germany already, and like all the international system. The idea is to establish a guideline which can help to design construction. And after all this, then we will identify all the sustainable performance factors, and which is also very geared by what the people want. Therefore, it is a performance is needed. And the performance, because those performance, we want those sustainable performance to be there. And we also want to know what is the actual impact on the sustainable impacts, such as ecology impact, the users and comfort, productivity, climate changes, and so on. But how we design and at the end of the day get this impact, they must have some kind of system to help us to do it. And therefore, like most of the systems as well, we are going through a cycle for improvement. We know the design, we know the impact, and then we go back, we know what is better to be done, then we go back to adjust our design. And our people, we're changing our habits so that we go on changing, keep changing, and so on, circle. I think everybody's in the assessment tool are aiming at these positions. So the loading and quality and criteria, the BEAM have about 150 credits, concentrated in a few areas. But I would like to highlight a few principles. I think Some were very important when we are working on that. We found that the initial and recurrent embodied energies to be used for the materials is also very significant. The operation energy of the building is significant. And the energy and to maintain the healthy indoor energies is the three major energy use area. And then, of course, ultimately, we want to reduce our resource consumption, minimize our life cycle costs, reduce environmental impact, healthy indoor environment, increase the employees' productivities. These are the major objectives. You can see that in one case studies in Hong Kong, we have found that 80% of embodied energies was the major, 80% of the major carbon emission is on the embodied energies. I think this share with the carbon buildings, which Professor Lee previously demonstrated. Actually, our construction energy is very minor impacts, about 10%. And also our life cycle costs, we understand that only 25% of our life cycle operation costs are putting into our construction and design. Actually, 70% are maintenance and operation. Therefore, if we are doing new building, we are helping through the energy design. But if we can upgrade our existing building, the impact is substantial. This is the life cycle of a building from urban design to the decommissioning. 1 minute only. So we have a lot of stakeholders, urban design, policy, design innovations, material technology, BIM, data mining, environmental research. I just give some examples: construction technology, construction management, waste management, education, transport, and operation life, general education, building maintenance, the strategies of the urban renewal, decommissioning, waste management, material recycle, statutes and policies. They're all helping that. The BIM, we have existing two systems. One is managing the design and construction. We call BIM plus new building. And now one is manage the operation life. This is BIM building existing. What in our pipeline, we are working towards that. We are working on BIM plus neighborhood. That means affecting the whole urban design before the individual buildings have been put up. BIM plus interior bridge the gap between the building, because Hong Kong has very special condition. Most of the buildings have common area. We have commonly used. Therefore, we have only the common corridors talking about 30% of the area. Most of the area are very much rely on the tenant, how to use it. Therefore, we are working on the BIM plus interior. Last one, we are very encouraged to have BIM plus renovation, retrofit the building, so that to make it life again, reduce the decommissioning. So here we are, but before I close, I still would like to, as an architect, I would like to encourage people to follow about some first principle. Our buildings start with enclosing us from inclement weathers, that you can see that the INGO have very good solutions. And another principle is, again, this is a Pantheon, only one hole. The hole gives all the light, air, okay, with the drain down there, right under the hole. It makes this building sustain for 1,000 years. Thank you.